Hello and thank you again for watching Leverage Monkey. It's July 21st again. I did an update this morning and then a midday update. So now it's another update. Just something that I've noticed here with the help of some viewers mentioning some things. I'm not sure if you guys remember or noticed, but the original wedge that was here with Bitcoin when we first started. Let me go ahead and change the color of that. Let's see, we'll do orange. We'll do it in yellow. No, that's not great either. I guess we'll change it to pink. So here's the original wedge in pink. So we came down, we touched, we came back up, we hit here, but got rejected, came down here, touched the bottom, and if you notice, we broke through the bottom, but then came back up. A similar move that we just did here, where we tested the bottom, came back up immediately, and touched the top. And if you notice here too, similar with what's happening now, is we have a good amount of wedge left. We have a good amount of wedge left there. And then over here, we have a good amount of wedge left here. So this could possibly be setting up for a very similar similar setup that was last time, where it comes up, it goes over, goes up, it breaks out, comes back and back tests, goes up, touches the top of the bigger wedge, which I'm not sure if you guys notice here, but I'll show you this trend line here, followed by this orange line that I had you guys add in, which was the old all-time high and the December consolidation here that we had in December of 2020. This line is actually creating a wedge pattern as well. So we have a wedge inside another size wedge inside a bigger wedge. And so far we've been in this wedge, we broke out of this wedge, and then we started this bigger wedge. Well, outside of that, if you look at my lines that I have here drawn, there's another bigger wedge pattern out there as well. So this is lining up to be quite interesting. You can see volume went up here when it hit the bottom, and then it continued to decline, which is what we just did. We hit the bottom, and volume here was low, and it started to pick up, went to the top of the wedge. Started picking up, went straight to the top of the wedge. So a possibility of the same thing happening, where we break out the top of the wedge, back test, come back, touch the top of the bigger wedge that we're going to move into, and then come back down and break out of the wedge, and then go into the newer wedge. So this is the newer wedge that was after that one. So here's where we're at now. We just got rejected from the top of this wedge. It's possible, because volume is picking up, that we could break out the top there, come back test it, go up here to test the top of this bigger wedge that we're going to move into, and be rejected, just like we were here. Come back down. It falls in front of the original wedge. So you see it never entered back into that wedge. It barely missed it right in front. So if that was the case this time, it would come out, touch here, and fall back in front of the wedge, which would be August 2nd, August 3rd is when it would come back down in front of this wedge. So we're actually getting some time frame now on this specific scenario of what could play out. So this is a very interesting scenario that I've come up with the help of a viewer that pointed out, hey, this kind of looks like the wedge that we were in, the same kind of pattern. Looks like it might be setting up. So thank you very much for that feedback. I looked into it. Yeah, it looks, that looks like quite a possibility. This is very symmetrical. As you know, the markets are about math. They move based on it's crazy the math that is involved and that works out. So these symmetrical triangles, well, not symmetrical triangles, but these triangles here, we're going into another triangle here. So it's quite possible this scenario plays out a second time. And here's our bigger wedge that we are in. And that puts us at August 2nd, August 3rd, falling in front of this wedge, headed towards 25K, 24K. We actually broke out the bottom here. So we broke out the bottom. Yeah, it looks like a good amount. We went from 30 to about 1500. So it's quite possible that I don't have that line drawn enough, and it comes down to about 23.5. You could do dollar amount, but dollar amount is not really great. So I would have to do the percentage on this, and I don't have that readily available for you guys, but I could do the percentage on this, and that would probably give about the percentage that we would have here. It doesn't have to do exact either. It could be an overreaction, but there's the liquidity void that we talked about in the other videos. There's also the CME gaps. So 2350 also lines up with going past that Elliott wave corrective triangle that we had here. The 1.38 fib extension, that would be past the 2350 lines up with that. It would be between the 1.38 and let me just do it here. So boom. Let's see. So yeah, here's where it would about be. So we would be past the we would be past the 1.382, 23.75. That would bring us to there. We would break past that slightly, or possibly could touch it. So that's pretty much what it would be. And that lines up with the Elliott wave corrective triangle with the wave 5 Elliott wave final capitulation. So this is a possible scenario to watch. It may not make it to the top of the triangle, but if it copies pretty much what it did last time, we could see this scenario play out again. Move from this triangle to that triangle to this triangle. Pretty interesting idea. And yeah, that's my update of a possibility of what could happen. The setup is setting up very similar in a lot of different areas. We have the triangles as well. All the triangles are there. It lines up with the Elliott wave, Elliott corrective wave triangle that was here. It lines up with the fib retracement, the extension. It lines up with the support line that we had drawn. It lines up with the resistance here that we have drawn. So this scenario checks all the boxes of being quite possible. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, see if it plays out. Thank you so much, and have a great day.